Hi, and thank you for joining the ERA and EOB Posting webinar. Today we're going to be going over how you can post ERAs that have been received electronically through the system, and also how you can post manual EOBs that have been received through the mail that need to be entered into the system. Starting off with the billing dashboard within your billing portal, first thing you want to notice on your billing dashboard is your pending items on the right upper corner. Within your pending items, you have ERAs pending, and you have deposits pending. The ERA notifies you of any ERAs that has been received and is ready to be posted at this point. The deposits let you know of any manual entry of an EOB that has been entered into the system but has not been posted at this point. To access both of these, you could either click on either or you could come to your billing navigation pane, and within the payment posting area, you could click on the payments window. This will also allow you to view all ERAs and deposits that have been assigned to you. On the payments window, it is broken down into 3 columns. The first column is your open deposits column. This will show you any open deposits that have not been dispersed at this point. The second column is your deposit column. This will show you the current deposit you have selected. The third column is your claim posting column, and this will show you the current claim you have selected and how it's being posted, along with giving you a summary of the posting results. Starting with the first column, we're going to go ahead and go over all its icons. So up top on the first column, you have your payment posting. To the right of that, you have your split screen icon here. And this allows you to switch the view between horizontal and vertical by simply clicking on this icon. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And notice my 2 columns now, versus being to the right, they're now at the bottom. If I click on it again, that will put them back to being on the right-hand side. To the right of that, you have this 2 blue arrows icon, and what that allows you to do is expand the first column. So if you double-click on this, this will go ahead and expand that first column for you, allowing you to view more information about your open deposits. If you double-click on those 2 blue arrows again, this will go ahead and minimize that column, allowing you to have more room to work on your claim column, on your deposit column, and your claim posting column. Below that, you have your reporting section, which has ERAs files below it. By clicking on ERA files, you can now look up any ERA files that have been deleted or that have been already posted, and you just want to look at the image of the file. You can look at any of these files using any of these search criteria. And in this case, I'm actually going to use my date search criteria to pull one up. So I'll go ahead and put in a date range. And I'm going to put type as all and posted as all. And I'm going to click my binoculars icon to perform that search. In doing so, this is going to go ahead and show me all the ERAs that have been received that has that ERA date. I can now double click on the ERA and view the actual image of the ERA, and on the left hand side the patients that it applies to along with its claims. I'll go ahead and close out of that. Then back to the first column here. Now you have your tasks, and below it, deposits. These are deposits that have been assigned to you. In other words, you are the owner of this deposit. It is possible that your database might have other deposits that are not assigned to you, which will not be listed on here. And I'll show you how you can view those shortly. Below that, you have your open deposits blue bar and a text box below that. The text box allows you to search for a deposit using the deposit ID, which is this 3-digit number, or the payer name. If you click the drop down on that text box, you also get another set of options that you can do. So now you can view your open deposits, meaning the deposits that are assigned to you. You can click all ERA deposits, which will allow you to view all ERA deposits that are in your database that have not been posted, whether they're assigned to you or not. All manual deposits, once again, all manual entries that are in your database, whether they're assigned to you or not. And you can also do an advanced search for a deposit, which allows you to search for any deposit using the following criteria. And this will show you any deposits, whether they have been posted or not. Go ahead and close out of here. And based on my billing dashboard, I show that I actually had 18 deposits. Okay. Currently, I'm only seeing 2 of those 18 deposits. If I click my text box drop down and I click all manual deposits, I can now view the rest of the 16 deposits. And notice they all show up here for me. If I wanted to see who is the owner for each of these deposits, I could expand my first column by clicking those 2 blue arrows up top. And now on the right-hand side here, it will tell me who's the owner of each one of these deposits. Notice that I am assigned the 2 deposits that I see under my open deposits list. However, since I do have billing rights, I can work on any of these deposits if necessary. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and minimize my first column again. I'm going to double-click on that blue arrow up top. And now I'm going to click my text box drop-down, and I'm going to go back to my open deposits for me to view only the ones that are assigned to me at this point. To the right of the text box, you have the drive with the blue arrow, and that allows you to import an ERA deposit. So in the case that you're receiving ERAs to a different system and you want to import the actual 835 file, you can do so if necessary. To the right of that, you have your printer icon. This allows you to print the list of reports that you have on your open deposits column. To the right of that, you have your 2 blue arrows, and this allows you to refresh the current open deposits list. Below that, you have the open deposits, and within it, there's 3 different exceptions that you will see. The first exception, to which we have none currently listed here, is the error exception, and that will be notified by the error header. And to the left of the deposit, instead of the yellow triangle as you see here, you will have a red X icon. That lets you know it's an error deposit. An error deposit means an ERA has been received and at least 1 or more claims on that ERA does not belong in your system, meaning it was billed out from a previous system. The second exception you'll see is the warning exception. The warning exception means that at least 1 or more claims have been received to which either have a secondary claim or for whatever reason they did not line up with the allowed the payment and the write-off amounts. And those are notified by, again, the yellow triangle and the warning header. The third exception you'll see is the clean deposit. The clean deposit means that an ERA has been received, all the allowed the payments to write off, every single row has been lined up and it does match with your claim. And it's ready to be reviewed and posted at this point. However, this does not exclude any denials. So keep in mind, if you have received a denial, it can still be a clean deposit. Moving on from the first column to the second column now, we're going to go ahead and start by reviewing the icons up top. The first icon you have on the second column is this white sheet of paper icon that allows you to create a new deposit. This will be utilized when you're actually entering those paper EOBs that you're receiving in the mail. The second icon you have is the open an existing deposit. So you can enter the deposit ID and open any existing deposit. The third icon you have on here is the green arrow icon, and this is currently grayed out. This allows you to post a deposit. The next icon is the calendar icon, and this allows you to change the deposit date. The next icon over is your sheet of paper with your mannequin, and if you click the drop down, this allows you to set defaults for the payment window. So the first option you have is the customize. The customize allows you to set your keystroke along with how your search results will be displayed. And this refers to the search results when you're searching for claims to add onto a deposit. So you can default how you would like those items to be displayed, and also how your keys will reflect on the posting grid. So if I hit tab on my posting grid, as of right now, it takes me down a cell versus right a cell. If I hit the enter key, it takes me right a cell versus down a cell. The next option on that default drop-down is going to be your default settings. The default settings allows you to document how a deposit will be received. In other words, the payment method and the payment type. How the service line payment types will be displayed on the transaction history of that patient once you do post that deposit. And also shows you the owner of the ERAs, meaning who the default owner is being set for any ERAs that are received, and your range balance. So for example, if I posted an additional write-off on my posting grid, it would reflect on the patient's transaction history as an insurance recoupment adjustment. If I wanted to change that, so my default is something else, and I don't have to change it every time on the actual claim, I can click the drop-down here and switch it to whatever else I need it to be. So if I wanted it to be a courtesy write-off, anytime I do document any value on the additional write-off row, I can select that, and that will make it the default from there on. The next default item you have is the ERA settings. This allows you to default under what exception an ERA will fall into. So for example, my crossover ERA at this point, any ERA that has a crossover claim on it, is being defaulted to a warning exception. If I would like to modify that and I don't want my ERAs that have crossover claims to fall into warning, I could simply click the drop down and I can modify that. I could either put it into an error or an OK exception, which would mean clean exception. The next icon you have on that second column is your drive with the blue arrow, and this allows you to do a payment import. This is utilized if you're using a third-party payment collection system, which provides you with an export of all the payments that have been collected, listing patients' names and claims. Below that, you have your deposit blue bar, and by expanding the deposit blue bar, you'll be able to view the information on the current deposit you have selected. This includes the payer name, the status, the owner, check ID, method, type, deposit, date, EOB date, amount, balance, payments, and excluded amounts. And if you actually click on any of these fields, it allows you to update that deposit if necessary. So notice it brings up this deposit payer information, which I can now update it. Also within that deposit blue bar, if you actually put your mouse over the blue bar, and you are indeed working with an ERA, to the left of the square icon here, right in the spot where my mouse is currently at, you're going to have a jump box that allows you to launch the actual ERA image. So if you would like to view the whole ERA deposit, you can click on this jump box. That's going to be listed right here where my mouse is currently pointed at, and you will be able to view that file. Again, it must be an ERA in order for you to do this. If it's a manual entry of a deposit, you will not be able to do this. Go ahead and minimize my deposit column. The next blue bar I have is the claims. Claims shows me any claims that are listed within my ERA or my deposit. So any claims that are associated with it would be listed on here, and I could click on each one of these claims and view the posting grid on the third column. go ahead and minimize that blue bar, and we're going to move on to the excluded claims blue bar. The excluded claims blue bar are any claims that you have added to the excluded section. This normally means that this claim was only listed on here because of recoupment or something of that sort of. I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. And my next blue bar is my EOB claim adjustments. This will list all adjustments that are listed on your ERA, okay, regardless of the claim. And this is also an easy way to catch if you have any denials. Because again, since it is listing all adjustments from your deposit, you can now see on here if you have any denials. And if so, then you'll know you have to actually go into the claim that it applies to go ahead and work on that claim. Moving on to the third column. Up top, you have a set of icons that apply to the claim that you're currently working with. The first icon you have is the Open folder, and if you click the drop-down, this allows you to open that claim, go into that claim's history, open the patient, or go into that patient's history. The icon over to the right of that is your Save icon, and that allows you to save any changes you have made to the posting grid. To the right of that, you have your Save and Next. This will save the changes you have made on the posting grid for the current claim and take you to the next claim on that deposit. The icon over is going to be your Delete claim from a deposit. So if you're doing a manual entry and you happen to include the incorrect claim in your deposit, you can now delete it. The icon over to the right is going to be your Restore claim prior to unsaved changes. So if you happen to open up a claim, go into the claim posting section, modify any of the values, and now you would like to put it back to its initial value prior to you saving it, you can go ahead and click the Restore there. The next icon allows you to exclude a claim from a deposit. So if you need to add a claim to the excluded section on the deposit, go ahead and click on this. The icon over allows you to include a claim in the deposit. So if you have a claim that's in the excluded section of your deposit and you need it back to your claim section, you would use this option. The icon over allows you to display the claim alert. So if there's any alerts listed on your claim, you could click on here and that will show you what that alert is. The icon over to that is Display Claim Dates. And this will show you any dates of the claim, including the date of service, and if you had any admission dates, that will also display that for you. The icon over to the right allows you to display claim comments. So if you had any comments, you can click on that to view them, or you can actually add a new comment to that claim. And the last icon here is your informational claim adjustments from ERA. And this is if you have any health remark codes, any additional adjustments, you could click on here to view that information. The text box to the right of that is used to search for claims. And you could search for a claim either using the patient's last name or the actual claim number, whichever one you have on hand. This is normally utilized if you need to create a manual deposit, and now you need to associate those claims to that deposit. All the way to the right on the same blue bar, you have your claim, which currently states 0. This will show you the claim number of the claim you currently have open. Right above that, where it currently says unknown 00, this will show you the name of the payer to which deposit you have selected, the total amount, and the balance on that deposit. Below that, you have your claim search blue bar. It's currently grayed out, and this allows you to do an advanced search for a claim to add on to the deposit. Below that, you have your claim posting blue bar, which will show you your claim posting grid. And below that, you have your posting results all the way at the bottom here, blue bar. And if you expand that, this will give you the summary of how the claims are being posted on this deposit. This will list all the patients, the claim and procedure, charges, balances, and etc. At this point, we're going to go ahead and go over how to post an ERA deposit. Keep in mind, this is a training environment. Therefore, I don't actually have real ERAs, but I have a scenario that mimics an ERA that has been received. So on my first column here, I have my Aetna ERA that has been received. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And this is now going to show me the actual deposit, along with giving me this post deposit option. And it asks me if I would like to post a deposit now since it has reached a zero balance. At this point, since I still do want to review this, even though it is a clean one, I still do want to review it, I'm going to go ahead and say no, I do not wish to do so. Now, within my second column, I can now select the claims that I would like to view, or I could just read the summary from my posting results, which again shows me every single claim and every single procedure and how it's being posted. Okay. In this case, I actually do want to view the posting grid, so I'm going to click on my first patient here on the second column. And this is going to now show up with my posting grid on the right-hand side on my third column. I can now view how it's being posted. Okay. Again, my payer is Aetna. The claim is going to actually be put into a ready-to-send statement status. And the reason behind that is because there is no secondary payer for this patient, and this patient has a procedure balance of $20. If this was a $0 balance, it would be put to a done status automatically. I also have my sub-status option, which allows me to make any additional documentation in case I do need to search for those claims afterwards. So you can click your drop-down and select the sub-status. And keep in mind the sub-status is editable, so you can actually edit these and add sub-statuses as needed. Then you have your billing and your level, meaning what's going to occur next. Okay. You also have this display ERA checkbox, which if this was a true ERA, I can check this, and now this will show me the image of the ERA for this specific claim. Not the whole deposit, just this specific claim. And I can make sure my values that are listed on my ERA matches with what's listed on my posting grid. Okay. Then you have your grid, which shows you the procedure, date of service, okay? And below it has the values that were brought in based on my ERA deposit. All right. Now, if you happen to disagree with something that's in here, or let's say you actually did not want to charge the specific patient that $20 copay because the doctor said that they were going to write that off for this patient, you can actually come in here and do an additional write-off, and you could say, I want to write off my extra $20. This will now zero out my deposit, and notice the status now changed to done. Okay. You can also click the drop-down here on the additional write-off line, and this allows you to change the reason for the additional write-off. Keep in mind, as of right now, my system is set up to where anytime I document an additional write-off, it is considered an insurance recoupment adjustment. In this case, if it is not a recoupment adjustment, I'm actually doing a courtesy write-off for this patient. So I can document that for this instance, it is a courtesy write-off. And that's how it would be reflected on the patient transaction history for this patient. Okay? And then once you've done the change on the posting grid, keep in mind you do have to save that change. So you want to click your blue floppy drive up top here, and that allows you to save that change. Okay? In this case, I do not actually want to do that write-off, so I'm actually going to put this back to 0, and I'm going to save that. Now, keep in mind, since at one point this claim was put to 0, the status is still at done, and I can now update that status to something else if I needed to. So I can click my status drop-down, and I can say this patient does need to receive a statement, and I can put it to that. The same is true if you have a denial for whatever reason, and you actually need to work on your claims and then just resubmit. Again, the denial will write off the full claim. You would want to zero out those insurance write-off amounts because you don't actually want to write it off. Make sure you make the changes that are necessary to your claim, and you update the status to what needs to occur next with that claim. So if you're resubmitting it because you have made changes at this point, you'd want to put it to ready to send primary electronic if the primary does accept electronic claims, or primary paper if the primary does not accept electronic claims. Okay, so whatever it needs to occur next, you would select based on the status. In this case, I'm going to leave this claim as ready to send statement, and I'm going to go ahead and save that. Okay. Then one other thing I did want to show you guys is if you needed to make an update to a claim, say this claim got denied because of invalid information or was missing something, I could directly from the screen go into the claim again by going to my open folder icon on the toolbar, and I could click the drop down and I could click on claim. And this is going to open this specific claim, allowing me to make any updates as needed. Okay, so on here I can now make any updates. So if I needed to update a procedure, I needed to update dates on it, whatever I needed to update, I can now update that on my claim window. Okay, so let me go ahead and close out of here. Another thing to take notice on this claim posting grid, anything below the interest line here means it's being pulled from the actual patient transaction history, okay, meaning it has already been posted on that claim, except for the payment total and the procedure balance. This is from the current values. Okay, so if you had anything on the patient payments, patient adjustments, insurance payments, insurance adjustments, those are all values being pulled from the claim history, meaning it was already posted on this claim. If I wanted to review what was actually posted, I can again come to my open folder, go to my claim history, and now I could look at that transaction history and see what had been posted. So on the right-hand side here, it will show you everything that's been posted on each procedure. In this specific case, I don't have any of that data. That's why this is blank. I'll go ahead and close out of there. And let's go ahead and move on to the next claim within my ERA deposit. And again, I could just click on it. It's going to take me to my next one, and I can review the information. Notice that this one's automatically put to a done status because it has reached a zero balance at this point. Okay. Again, if I disagree with the write-off that they're doing, I can zero this out. I can modify it as needed, and I can change my claim status at that point to do what needs to occur next with this claim. If I am okay with it, I can just skip over and go to my next claim. And I can now review my next claim, make sure everything is okay. Another thing to take in consideration is if you do have a secondary on a claim, you want to make sure that the EOB claim adjustments match to what's coming in from your ERA or your EOB, okay? And to document those, you have your EOB claim adjustments at the bottom. You can click this jump box, and that will go ahead and allow you to document that. Now, if you're receiving an ERA, these values will be brought in automatically for you. Okay? If you're doing a manual entry, you will have to manually enter these in. And again, you click the jump box here. It's going to open this window up. And now you can put in your deposit date. Okay, and let's say that this one was for today. And then you can add a row below it. And now you can specify any contractual obligation adjustments and what the patient responsibility is due to. Okay? Keep in mind, if there is no adjustments made, you still do need to document something in here for contractual obligations. So you would put the CO, the typical is the 45 code, and the amount would be 0. Okay? And notice as I added this in, it now adds it to my EOB claim adjustment section here. And it also adds my 45 number here for me to know that there is something listed on there. Again, keep in mind this is a training environment, therefore this is not a real ERA deposit, but if it was a real ERA deposit, those values will be brought in automatically. Okay? However, if you do need to update it, this is how you'll do so. I'm going to go ahead and close out of here now. Now at this point, let's say you are okay with your ERA deposit, nothing left to do on it, everything matches to what it should be. Any changes that you needed to make, you have made it at this point. Now you're ready to post your deposit. Okay? So to post your deposit, you're going to come to your second column, the green arrow icon here, and you're going to go ahead and click the post deposit option. So I'm going to go ahead and post that for you. Notice on the right upper corner where you have your payer name, you now have a green check mark letting you know this has been posted. And at this point, I can no longer modify anything within this deposit. So if I wanted to change those values, notice it does not let me click on it to change anything. Once the deposit has been posted, it is locked, and it can no longer be modified. Now, if you happen to catch an error and you notice that there is an issue, what you can do is you can go to the actual claim level and make those changes on the claim level. However, you cannot make that on the deposit level because it is locked once you post it. Okay? So let's say in this case scenario, let's actually use our first claim here. And on this case scenario, let's say that I have that $20 copay I documented, right? But that's incorrect. I was actually going to do a write-off on that. I can now go to my claim history, and again, you can do it directly from the screen, or you can go to your billing query and do the search for it. Up to you. In this case, since I am already on the screen, I'm going to use the screen. I'm going to click my Open Folder drop-down here. I'm going to go to my claim history, and notice now all those transactions that I documented are listed here. Okay, so I show a $20 procedure balance for this procedure here. If I wanted to do an additional write-off on that, I can right-click on the claim number up top, and I could click Add Payment. This is now going to bring up my payment window, and I can now document the deposit date, the paid by, which in this case would have been the insurance, and the adjustment amount. Okay, so if I wanted to write off that 20, I'll put -20, and I can put the reason why that adjustment is occurring. All right. Also from this window, if you need to make a corrections to your EOB adjustments, you also have the EOB option on here where you could click at, and you can now make those corrections to the EOB adjustments or document those if needed. I'm going to go ahead and close out of here. And in the case that you posted a value that was incorrect, so let's say this insurance contract adjustment should not have been $10, you could simply right-click on that payment line, and you could delete the payment. Okay? Keep in mind, this will modify it on the claim level. However, it will not modify it on the deposit level. So on your original deposit, it's still going to show that you writ off the $10 for record keeping. However, on the claim, those $10 will have disappeared because I deleted that payment. At this point, this concludes the ERA posting process. Now we're going to go ahead and be moving on to the EOB posting process. So assuming you received an EOB in the mail and you're ready to enter that into the system, the first thing you want to do is, again, come to your payment screen. Then on the payment screen, you're going to come to the white sheet of paper icon up top to create a new deposit. Once you click on that, it's going to go ahead and give you the options to enter that deposit. And the first thing you want to put in is the payer that the deposit is for. And in this case, let's say it's an Anthem. Then the owner is always defaulted to yourself. You can now put in the check ID for that deposit. And normally, if it's a electronic funds transfer, you would want to put that trace number in here. If it was not a payment at all and you don't have neither, you can put no pay, or you can leave it blank. It is not a required field. Okay, the method and the type gets defaulted automatically for you. Then you have your deposit date, and this is normally you want to put the date that you actually deposit this into the bank, and this is for reporting purposes. Okay. If I wanted to modify this, I could say I deposited this yesterday. I'm posting it today. And my actual EOB date is from the 30th. Okay? So my EOB is from the 30th. I deposited yesterday, and I am posting it today. And then on the amount, you can go ahead and document the total amount of this deposit. Okay? So let's say that this deposit was for $100. Once you fill those fields out, go ahead and click OK, and that's going to create your deposit. Now that you have your deposit created, you need to associate the claims to that deposit. And by default, you're already within a deposit. And you confirm that by looking on the second column here. Or if you look on the right upper corner, it'll show you the deposit you currently are on. So again, the next step is to associate the claims to that deposit. So you're going to come to your text box. And if you know the claim number, you can type it in. Or if you can use the patient's last name. In this case, training environment, so we're going to use our test as our last name. And you're going to hit your magnifying glass or press enter, whichever one you prefer. And let me try that again. There you go. And this is going to go ahead and give me all my test patients. In this case, again, keep in mind it's a training environment, so it gave me this search results have exceeded the maximum number of rows because I have more claims than the maximum 25 I have listed on here. I'm going to go ahead and click OK on that. And now you can go through and select the claims that apply. You use your data service to match those up, which is normally the easiest way, patient's name, values, and etc. Okay. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and scroll through here, and I'm going to jump through some claims. So I'm going to go ahead and select this claim. Okay. And as you're selecting them, if you single click, it's going to put a check mark here. Okay. And you can now select more than one claim by just single clicking on the next claim, and it's going to include it in your deposit. Okay, so now I have checked both of those. If you only have one claim based on the search that you need included, you could simply double click on it, and that's going to include that claim. Again, single click will check it. Double click will automatically include it. In this case, I did my single click to check those claims, and I'm going to click the insert, which is going to insert both of those claims into my deposit at this point. So notice they both got added in, and I could view that on my second column under the claim section. Okay. Also notice that there's this little magnifying glass to let you know that no documentation has been done on this claim yet. All right. So now I'm on this specific claim, and it's showing it to me here on the right-hand side on my posting grid, and I can now document my values. So let's say for this claim, my allowed was $65. They actually paid $55. Okay, and my co-insurance was the $10. Actually, sorry, not co-paying, the co-insurance, because this claim does have a secondary on there. Okay. Now, since my secondary only accepts paper claims, and that's the reason it's being put ready to send secondary paper, I don't necessarily need the EOB claim adjustments. However, if that was an electronic, I would definitely need to put in my EOB claim adjustments. And again, I could come, click my jump box, and now document those claim adjustments. And in this case, again, just for training purposes, I am going to document it so you guys can see how I would document it in this instance. I want to put my CO on there, and I don't recall the amounts I documented on my grid. So I can now click this little pen, push pen to the left of the X, and this allows me to move this window. And I could drag it over to the side, and I can click on my push pin again, and notice it locks it in place there. And now I can say, okay, my write-off was $45 for $10, okay, and my patient responsibility is a 2 for co-insurance, and is also for $10. Okay, so I just stated that the primary wrote off $10, and they stated that the balance that's on there is due to co-insurance. I can now close out of here. Okay, and now that's documented in there. I could save my claim. All right, and then two things I want you to notice once I save my claim. First is look at my EOB claim adjustment section. It adds in my 2 and my 45 there, okay, along with the EOB claim adjustments. And the second thing I want you to notice is if you look on to the left of the claim now on the second column, my magnifying glass is gone because I have documented information in there. So this is a way to notify that you have not worked on this claim, but you have worked on this one. Right? And I can click on my first claim there, and I can make the documentations as needed. So in this case, let's say that the actual allowed was the whole 70. Let's go ahead and put in, because this patient did make a $30 payment already, and that's the reason it shows patient payments $30. So let's say in this case, the allowed was the, let's say 70, and the payment was 45. Okay, there will be no write-off because the allowed is the same as the charge. And notice I'm actually giving a credit at this point to this patient because they paid 30, and their copay was actually only 25. So this patient has a $5 credit with us now. Okay, I can now save that. And in the future, I can move that credit from this claim to a different claim. Okay. Then again, I'm going to get that auto post if I wanted to post this deposit because it has reached a zero balance now. Okay. And if I'm ready to, since I did manually enter this and I know everything is correct, I could go ahead and say yes. If I wanted to further review it or make any further changes, you would want to hit no and continue working on it. Okay. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and press no. And let's say you added the two claims now for that specific patient, and now you have a different patient on your deposit that you need to add. You'll simply come back to your text box, search for that next patient, and then add in that next patient. And you'll do so until you're done with your deposit, adding all the patients into that deposit. And once you're done, you're going to go ahead and post your deposit. And give you that green check mark letting you know it has been posted. You can now refresh your first column under your open deposits, and notice that deposit will disappear from here because it has been posted. If you need to bring up anything that has been posted for a specific date range or if it's a specific deposit, again, come to your text box on your first column under open deposits, click the drop down on the text box, and you want to go ahead and select the advanced option. This will now allow you to search for that. And in this case, let's say I want to review everything that was posted today. I can use today's post date. And I can now say OK on that, and that's going to go ahead and give me all the deposits that were posted today. Again, if you need to print this to put it with your deposits, you can. Or for just review, you could click on each one and review them as needed. Okay? This now concludes the EOB posting process. The final thing I want to go ahead and show you guys is also from this payment screen, you can actually post a statement as well. Okay? So if you had a patient that made payment on a statement, and that statement had multiple claims on it, the best route to post that is coming to this payment window and creating a deposit. If it was only for one claim, the best route to do for that is to actually go into the billing query, pull up that claim, and document the payment directly on the claim. So if that statement had more than one claim and this patient has now made a payment on all of those, best route is to come to the payment window. You're going to create a new deposit, so you're going to use your white sheet of paper icon. Okay? And now on the deposit payer information, instead of documenting the payer, you're actually going to click on the icon that looks like a sheet of paper, and that's going to change it to a statement deposit. Okay? And notice my payer option now changed to statement. I can now enter in the statement number, or I can click my magnifying glass and search for that statement. All right? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I want to see all statements. Let's see search. And again, you can enter any of these criteria that you have on hand. In this case, I'm just using any statement I have on file here. And once you have found your statement, you can now double-click on it. This is going to go ahead and add your statement number along with the patient's name here. You could put in the check ID if it was paid by check. Okay? If it was paid in by other method, you can select that method. Then you would want to go ahead and put in your deposit date there won't be an EOB date because it is not a EOB. But if you wanted to document something in there, you can as well. Then you want to put the overall total. In this case, let's say this patient made a payment for $20. And you can click OK. So what's going to occur is the system is going to go out and get all the claims that are part of this statement and include it in your deposit. Okay? In this case, it looks like the statement was already taken care of, and that's why it did not get included in the claim section. So notice no claims found. But in the case scenario that it is a statement that has an outstanding balance, all those claims will be included on here. And you can use your posting grid to verify that the amounts are being applied to the correct procedures and post that. So versus searching for each individual claim, now you just created one deposit, automatically associates all your statements, and now you can post that. And let me see if I can get you guys a better example of this. So let me go ahead and click my white sheet of paper icon here, and let me try this on a different patient actually. Just bear with me for 1 second. Let's try this patient. Okay, so this patient does have those claims still with an outstanding balance. I'm going to go ahead and say, no, I don't want to post this now. And notice this patient had 3 claims on the statement, and all 3 automatically got included on there for me without me having to do anything except create that deposit, right? The system also goes as far as actually posting that amount to the claims. And it's always going to post it to the claim that is the oldest. I'm sorry, the newest. So in this case, my $20 automatically got applied to this claim. So you put in the $20 there. The other 2 claims are listed on there, but I don't have any further dollar amount left over, so it didn't put anything in those 2 claims. So what's going to happen is, let's say if this claim was $10, my next claim was $10, the system will actually automatically split that for you and put 10 here and 10 on my next claim. In this case, this claim was for $30, so I put the full 20 here and left me with a $10 balance. Again, once you're done, or if you actually wanted to not apply it to this claim, you can erase that. You can save that change, and you could apply it to the claim that you wanted to apply it. So if I wanted to apply it to this claim, I can now apply it. Or if I wanted to apply it to this claim, let's say I wanted to apply here the $10, I can. So it zeroes out this claim, which is older. And then I could come back to my other claim and document the remainder of the balance, which in this case happens to be the $10. Okay, and now that I'm done, and the system does see that I have zeroed out again, it's going to give me that, would you like supposed to deposit? And I could say yes, and I just documented the payment of those claims. Okay, now again, if you're doing this for a single claim, it would be easier to go to the billing query directly, search for that claim, and just document a payment versus creating a deposit and then documenting on that claim. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and hit yes, and that's going to go ahead and post my deposit. At this point concludes today's webinar.